I'd say that he has to focus on what he'd like to do at the fan club.
Okay.
He said he'd clean everything.
So if you just
It's always risky with those.
what?
Got a surprise for you on the radio. It's like, am I gonna like it? Yeah, I do. When we went to that show,
Yeah.
I think you tried to put on her stage outfit,
Yeah.
which was, I don't remember. It was like chaps or something. He's good at like telling you to take care of yourself type
Right.
thing.
Like what?
You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I think he's just very like, make sure you're all right.
Yeah.
I think I met him at a party. I met him at like a dinner thing a few years ago, and then I went to a couple of Stone shows. I just think he's the nicest. It's exciting. It's definitely different, but I love kind of doing new things and trying different things. And I wasn't on the road for a couple of years, and now being back on, performing's always been my favorite part of kind of being in music. Yeah. I mean, I think it's probably Kiwi. It's the one where it's so much different live than it is on the album. Every night I've kind of felt this energy from the crowd, and the crowd have been so amazing every time that we've played it. And, I love playing these songs, and I just think Kiwi is a standout kind of highlight for me. Some of my favorite moments from the tour have been during Kiwi. I'm kind of starting to think about what that show's going to be now, and trying to kind of get some ideas together. And I think it's important that every show, whether the venues change or not, gets a little bit bigger and a little bit better than the one before. And although I've toured before, this is the first time doing it on my own, and I feel like this tour I've learnt so much about what it is to perform on my own and kind of have a crowd, and the show be me and the band and stuff. So I feel like it's been a big learning experience for me. So going into the next one, there's a lot of things that I learned that I didn't know before, and I think it's important to, it's always been important to me that the show is good, because I want people to come and, even if they're not necessarily the biggest fan of the music, they can leave and appreciate the show and think that, and come and have a good time. And that's always been important to me. So I think it's important to make sure the show's always growing, and change some stuff up and put some surprises in. So I'm looking forward to kind of working out exactly what that's going to be. He also writes so many for like everyone else.
I know.
So when he came, I'd see him and I'd be like, "Do you want to hear my first single?" And he'd be like, "Yeah." And then he'd go, "Do you want to hear everyone else's first single?" I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
He's just written them all.
Yeah.
But not most of it. That's including like little ideas.
Right.
I'd say
okay.
full songs, maybe 30. Yeah. I'd say there's 30 probably. I think you can do that, and you do that obviously to a degree, but I think if you start asking too many people, it gets away from like what you like. So I think kind of when it came to the end of it, I had to be like, all right, which songs do I want it to be? Yeah,
time to think
which
about
actually I think was good.
Probably quite
for
good,
me.
yeah.
Yeah, I think one, because I think for a while before, all I'd thought about was like stressing about, what it was going to be and everything. And it gave me a chance to kind of completely step away from it and have a real break. And then also by the end of the movie, because we were swimming so much, I was like, oh, can I just go and write some songs? I had to stop in the middle of the year for when the movie happened. So I did like 3 weeks at the end of February last year, and then stopped for about 5 months, and then came back to it in July, and then kind of did it until kind of nowish. I finished writing in like December. I mean, I'm such a fan of his, and I'm such a fan of so many people working on this film, and it just felt like I felt so lucky to be there, to be honest. So nice to watch. It's kind of the opposite to what a traditional kind of movie set around war is. It's not us being the heroes and kind of going and saving the day. It's just about community heroism and how these small acts from civilians and the normal people who are at home coming to save us kind of together makes this massive thing. I think it's very much about the spirit of people and, how when people come together, you can do incredible things. I think honestly, if I think I've been writing for several years, and I enjoy writing. I find it to be like an amazing outlet, and I don't always say a lot. And I think it's a time, you and an instrument is a time to be at your most vulnerable. I think it's a lot easier to say something to an instrument than it is to say it to someone else. And I know for me, I find it very therapeutic to write and to be honest while writing. So I think I just don't know if I would have wanted to make an album that was anything else. I think I wanted it to be something that I haven't really said before, kind of a part of me that I haven't really shown before, and that was important to me. I wanted it to be honest, and yeah, I think I didn't know what the album was going to sound like when I started the process. So I think the only thing I kind of had to aim at was that I just wanted to be very open with it, and now I've kind of ended up in a place where I'm really happy with it, and I'm happy to be kind of sharing a different side of me than I have done before. It's exciting. It's hard. Every day that you get to work in music, I feel like it's impossible not to love the people who allow you to do that. And it's amazing to have people who want to listen to something that you've made is the biggest compliment. And I think the thing that's really hit home for me a lot is making this album and then performing a couple of these songs so far. Seeing people sing it back to you takes you back to the moment of writing it, and to kind of see it go full circle is like a really cool experience. So, friends that I've known I've been very lucky to always know the most amazing group of fans, and I hope they like the music. It made me happy to make, so I hope that it makes a couple of people happy to listen to. So I've been working with the band. Two of the guys that I wrote the album with are in the band, and then there's three more musicians. They're amazing. It's been a lot of fun working out what this album was going to be. In the studio was a lot of fun, and then kind of taking that and trying to work out how that's going to sound and be live has been a lot of fun. And I think it was pretty natural transitioning into rehearsing, because a lot of the studio experience felt like we were a band trying to work stuff out. We wanted it to feel quite like raw, so it's been good. I think it's going to be fun. I mean, they're the most amazing group of musicians. They're very obviously good players. They're amazing people, and it's made me, love this album even more, getting to play them live. So I'm looking forward to playing the songs for people. I think it was important for me I just didn't want to rush it, because I knew that for me, I didn't know what it was when I started the process, so I wanted the time to be able to kind of make mistakes, and kind of, go down a certain path for a couple of weeks or a month and be like, we have all this stuff, but that's not exactly what I want to put out. I think the last few albums that we'd made very fast and kind of on the go. We'd made them on the road while we were touring and stuff, and I think I just loved the experience of kind of making it with no pressure, and I love doing it that way.
This is the reason why you chose Jamaica, maybe.
Yes, yeah, I just wanted to. I didn't want people kind of constantly being like, I think it should be this, or I think it should be this. I felt like it was the fact that I didn't know what it was. I felt like it was so important that I worked out what it was before people started telling me what it should be. I think I like the writing part the most, and what inspired it. I don't know really. I think it's hard to not have influences from like what you grew up listening on. I think that's I think everyone reacts differently to like different types of music, and then really I think I don't know. I was with like the guys I was writing with, and we just wanted to make like what we wanted to listen to.
Right.
And I think that's been the most fun part for me about making the whole album is it's like at the moment, I mean, in the least weird way possible, it's like my favorite album to listen to at the moment. Like I love listening to it.
I think
so. I think like if you put out something that you don't like stand behind and really love, then if it doesn't go well, then you could regret not doing what you wanted to do. Whereas, you know, if nothing happens with it, I love it. So I think that's kind of what you should do.
Yeah.
But I think that's been my favorite part of the overall thing is kind of listening to the album and making all the changes, and it's been fun to kind of like watch over it. I mean, I think the thing with this one is that there was I kind of worked out that sometimes you'd write a song and you absolutely love it, but you don't feel like it goes on this one. Even when it's not finished, it kind of, you finish a song and it just doesn't feel like this album, or you don't feel like you want to say that yet. So you definitely like have stuff back, and there's definitely songs that I wrote during the process that I think are right, but not necessarily right for this album. And in terms of it being short, I think I wanted to push myself to not have anything that I didn't feel like was good enough to be on there. And I just wanted it to be kind of 10 of what I wanted the album to be. And I mean, a lot of my favorite albums are 9, 10, 11 songs, and I always find myself finishing it and listening to it twice. And I think if my album was an hour and a half long, I wouldn't even enjoy doing that. I think he was really important for the album. I think he pushed me in a way that I don't think I've been pushed before, in terms of, bringing out what it was that I wanted to make. I don't think he really knew much about me, which for me was good in that he didn't come in with any kind of preconceived notions of what my album should be. I think with Jeff, he doesn't have like a set style. He very much goes with what the person wants to make. I think you don't look at any of the stuff that he's done and think, oh, it sounds the same. And I think that was cool for me going in, kind of thinking that we could kind of work out what my album was going to sound like together, rather than, I want his style and to kind of just redo that. But I mean, yeah, he was always very honest with me about when stuff wasn't good enough, and I feel like that's as important, if not more important, than telling you when something's good. He's also just very intelligent and very good at music, and pretty inspirational to be around in terms of watching a musician work. He's, I think I feel very lucky to have got to write around him for several months. It was one of my favorite kind of musical experiences I've had so far, is getting to work with someone like that in a studio for a long period of time.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Okay. That was lovely.
Fantastic.
You're wonderful. I mean, I feel home. I feel at home in England for sure. I think between being in Cheshire where I grew up and now being in London is definitely where I feel most home. I've lived in London for about 7 years now, so it's always kind of been the place I come back to after traveling. And I hadn't really been to London. I'd never been to London before I moved here, but now it definitely feels like home for me. And Italy, I haven't been for a little bit, but I mean, we always used to just have the most amazing time when we were there. Touring there was unbelievable. We did our DVD concert there. It was amazing. The fans were always amazing. I've been lucky to make a couple of friends in Milan over the years of traveling, and it's pretty amazing. One of them has his own olive oil, and it's really good. I mean, I think it's such an important piece of history that obviously is looked over, like we said earlier, and getting to be part of a story like this, obviously that happens to be told by a director like this, is I think we're all kind of quite proud to just be involved in such an amazing project, really. I kind of, before we'd even started filming, was quite excited to watch it. So yeah, I think it's just any time you kind of get to be a part of something that is telling something that's so much more important than, you know, your personal feelings of kind of, you know, that doesn't really go past just doing your bit for what the main focus. I think I was pretty excited about, you know, trying something different. I think any time you can kind of get out of your comfort zone is a good thing, and obviously getting to work with such an amazing cast and crew of people who are amazing, and obviously with Chris. You know, it's such a privilege to get to work with people who are so passionate about what they do. So I think you just have to kind of soak up as much of that as possible and just use it as an amazing thing to learn. I think when you learn about Dunkirk at school, it's obviously not our finest moment in the war. So I think when you learn about it, it's often washed over. It's told kind of as this quick, almost fairy tale a little bit. I think through filming it was nice for us to delve into it a little more in terms of the human aspect of what it was, and obviously realizing that each little piece of, you know, chaos was happening to so many different people who were obviously individuals. So I think seeing it as more human stories rather than a statistic of people who kind of got home was really interesting for me personally. I think the thing was that it was really exciting to kind of explore obviously the relationship between the two characters and how the tension would build in how each character would obviously react differently to what they thought their role was going to be in the war and the reality of what the war was really like. And I think exploring that was kind of the most fun part for us. Pretend there's an explosion happening over here, it's actually going on, and then I think, you know, that just means you get natural reactions to stuff. Chris kind of creates this world for you where you don't have to act that much. I think he kind of tries to make it so that he's capturing kind of natural reactions to stuff, and I think in general everyone's focus was more so than any kind of personal discomfort. I think as hard as it would ever be on set, everyone was very aware of how in comparison to what obviously people would have been through, it was nothing. And we, you know, got to go home and shower at the end of the day, and that obviously makes it much easier to deal with. But I think everyone wanted to make this movie as good as it could possibly be. It's such an important piece of history, and Chris is so passionate about it, and I think that's infectious, and people kind of want to work harder for him, and no one's kind of, there wasn't really any room for kind of complaining or anything. Yeah, Not so much, really. I think with it's obviously impossible to be in the kind of emotional mindset of what it would have been like. I think where we were lucky was getting to work with Chris. He creates this world around you, and kind of removes any imagination needed in terms of the physical world that you're in.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a gift, really, in terms of trying to imagine being there. I think he gets you as close as you could ever possibly be to being in that situation without obviously.
Yeah.
My granddad was in the RAF, and when I got the part, he was very excited, because he kind of kept showing me like pictures of me in my uniform and a picture of him in his uniform.
Yeah, similarly.
So, yeah, I think he's excited to watch it. So I think.
Mean.
I know they're not here to defend anything else, but it was me. I honestly don't know. I don't know. I thought it sounded good. We threw around names for a little bit, and I honestly don't know. I suggested it, and everyone was like, "Yeah, we like that," and then it kind of stuck, and that was what it was. I mean, we'd kind of met each other, you know, backstage a little bit. But yeah, I mean, when you're from a small village and you go on the show and Simon Cowell says you guys are going to be in a band together. It was my mum's, actually. So we kind of used to watch the show as a family, and you know, one time kind of in passing I said, oh, that looks like it'd be fun, and kind of disappeared upstairs. And then, you know, a couple of weeks later she kind of said, you have an audition for the show on Sunday.